朋友，大家晚上好！欢迎您来到美国华裔联盟 CAA Action 美国平等联盟 ACE 第3次全国会议。我是华盛顿州西雅图的谢杰，是今晚会议的主持人。我最近听不少朋友说，2020年真有意思，足不出户，坐观天下大事，什么也没干，尽见证历史了。是的，2020年发生了很多大事。新冠疫情总统大选大法官阿比吉过世，中美外交对垒等等等等，这么多大事发生，咱们仅仅是做官或者见证是不够的，更应该思考、讨论和参与。参加咱们美国华裔联盟和美国平等联盟的第3次全国会议，就是思考、讨论这些历史大事件的非常有效且有意义的一种形式。因为我们每周都会邀请嘉宾来给大家分享这方面的信息，而且还会在演讲后和听众朋友们互动，探讨和回答大家的问题。此外，我们 CAA 还在全美各地组织各种活动，如果您想加入我们，共同参与历史，也请关注我们发布的信息、公号和我们的义工们联系。好了，废话不多说，让我给大家请出今天的演讲嘉宾。我们今天的第一位演讲嘉宾呢，是纽约州国会11区共和党候选人 Nicole Malliotakis。Mallio 已经是获得纽约市警察工会背书。Mallio 的对手呢是现任国会众议员民主党的 Max Rose。Max 声称他是支持纽约警察的，但是今年6月份呢，他却选择了支持黑命贵，并且是支持黑命贵废除纽约警察。那么纽约州国会第11区包括了哪些地区呢？它包含了斯坦顿岛、布鲁克林南部地区。我们这个共和党候选人玛丽奥，他的政治主张是什么呢？他就是支持纽约警察，支持餐饮业开业，鼓励各小企业服务客户，并且已经得到了总统 Trump 的支持。我们下面呢就请 Nicole 和大家谈谈他的主张。Ms. Nicole Malliotakis serves in the New York State Assembly. She represents part of Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, and the East Shore, Staten Island in the New York State Assembly. She is the only Republican woman elected in New York City and the first Hispanic American to win elected office in Staten Island. She is a candidate for New York's 11th Congressional District in the 2020 election. Ms. Malliotakis has been endorsed by the Republican and Conservative parties. Let's welcome Ms. Malliotakis. Hello, Ms. Malliotakis, can you hear me?
你好
Thank
you for having me.
Thank you for attending this meeting. Would you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes, thank you for hosting this today. I am Nicole Malliotakis. I am the Republican nominee and candidate for Congress in Staten Island, New York, as well as Southern Brooklyn, the neighborhoods of Bay Ridge, Dyker Heights, Bensonhurst, Gravesend, and a small part of Sheepshead Bay. I am someone who has been serving in the New York State Assembly for the last decade. I ran for mayor of the city of New York against Bill de Blasio in 2017. And currently I'm running to be the United States representative for this community of Staten Island and Southern Brooklyn. It's very important that New York City has a Republican representative, so we have a balance. Like many of the people who are on the call, my mother fled communism. My mother is a Cuban refugee. My father is an immigrant of Greece, and they came to New York City and to America to achieve the American dream. And that is something that I want to preserve for future generations. And that is why I'm running for the United Congress. I feel very strongly about stopping this move towards socialism and preserving this nation so future generations have the same opportunity as I have had.
Hello, Nicole.
Yes.
Oh, would
I
you
don't know, did you want me to continue, or I left it a brief introduction?
Because we would love to hear what you can do for the voters. I believe their audience from New York, they would love to hear from you. So please keep going.
Okay, so I'm running for Congress for 3 reasons, and I really have 3 main issues I'd like to discuss. One is preserving the American dream, and as I mentioned, right now there is a move to push our country towards socialism. Millions of immigrants, like my parents, came to this country to escape the very policies that some of those who are in Congress are trying to bring to the United States. I think it's very important that we have individuals in Congress who are going to stop this move to socialism, this grasping of our liberties and our freedoms, and of course, diminishing the opportunities and the economic opportunities that we currently enjoy in a free country. Here in New York City, the main issue that I've been hearing, and when I speak to the community, and certainly it's the main issue I'm concerned about, is public safety. Over the course of the last couple of years, we have seen New York City decline under one-party Democratic rule. Mayor de Blasio has implemented policies that have made us less safe, and I am proud to have been among those who have opposed those policies and are trying to make New York a safer place. This new policy of wanting to close our prisons and release criminals on our streets, or whether it be the bail law that just people get arrested and the very next day they are released and commit more crimes, or whether it be defunding our police. I am opposed to all 3 of those. My opponent, Max Rose, supported those 3 initiatives, and collectively they have made us less safe and have made the crime rate in New York increase dramatically. So I am proud to say that because I oppose those policies and am fighting back to fix them, I've received the endorsement of the New York Police Department organizations that represent the members, the police, the sergeants, the detectives, the captains, the lieutenants. They've all endorsed me because I am the law and order candidate, and I want to work to make this city and our nation safe. Secondly, the big issue is economy, both here in New York and nationally. COVID really hurt the economy. We've lost a number of jobs. And there's 2 aspects of this. One is nationally, we want to work toward reopening our economy as we're seeing happen already, and restore those American jobs that were lost pre-COVID. We want to get the unemployment level back down to where it was pre-COVID. And so we want to have pro-growth policies, reduce taxes, reduce regulations. I'm proud to have the endorsement of the National Federation of Independent Business because of my policies of supporting small businesses and making us a stronger economy. Locally, we have major problems. The Mayor de Blasio, Governor Cuomo are really hurting the economy locally as we try to reopen. We are seeing our small businesses being crippled, particularly areas like hospitality, the restaurant industry. We are working very hardly to push back on the mayor and the governor to reopen indoor dining at our local restaurants. A number of the restaurant owners who are part of our lawsuit are Chinese restaurants. They're very upset as well. We're trying to work to get them to reopen. 200,000 jobs are at stake with the reopening of the restaurant industry here in New York City. So we need to make sure that we have someone who's pushing back against the mayor and the governor to reopen New York's economy. Of course, we want to do it safely, wisely, follow guidelines, but we need to ensure that we reopen our economy and that we get people back to work. And lastly, let me touch on just education, because education is extremely important. I know that's very important to the Chinese American community. I have been at the forefront of the fight to stop Mayor de Blasio when he has tried to dismantle our specialized high schools. He was trying to close our gifted and talented programs for our students who are excelling. Both those programs are programs in which we have many Asian American students participating in particular, and he was trying to take away that opportunity from Chinese Americans and other students who are excelling. We need more gifted and talented programs. I want to preserve our specialized high schools. And that is a battle that we recently won against the mayor. And I've been proud to work with members of the Chinese community to push back on these policies that the mayor and the chancellor, school's chancellor, tried to implement that would have taken away opportunities from our Chinese American students.
Wow, wonderful. Nicole, just from what you're talking, you got my support because you really hit my heart. The education, the safety of the community, against the defunding police, that's all Chinese community really care about. Also the business, really care about. So that's very important to our community. I bet you already tried to reach out to the Chinese community in New York, in your district. I just wonder what kind of effort you already put to reach the Chinese community over there. Did you talk with the Chinese community leaders over there, or what kind of way you did?
Yes, we have met with Chinese leaders. Pre-COVID, we had some opportunities to sit down. I was attending Chinese American events regularly in the community, and we have established a nice relationship. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we don't have as many opportunities to see each other anymore, and that has presented an unfortunate but we're doing events like this to try to garner support from people in the community who can then help us get the message out. What we are looking, for our volunteers that are willing to make phone calls from wherever they are into the community to registered voters who speak Chinese. You can call them and try to get this message of opportunity of preserving our freedoms and liberties, to making sure we have a strong economy and good jobs, making sure we have a great system of education for our young people, to the Chinese voters who are in this district. There is a significant voter block of Chinese Americans. And so anyone on the call who's willing to help me, we want to hear from you, and please, keep in touch with Bernie so we can make sure we get you signed up to volunteer.
Wonderful, thank you. So as you give us all this information, I want to let the audience know, if you are in Nicole's district and you would like to be volunteer, please let us know. We can have you to contact Nicole's team so we can have this work out together. So Nicole, do you have anything else you would like to let us know, let audience know about your campaign?
Well, I think what people should know is that we are in a good position to win this race. It is a very, very close election. We did polls, and our polls show that we are on track to win this election, but it's going to be very close. And so we need everyone's help to make sure that we cross the finish line. It is incredibly important for New York City to have someone like me who holds Mayor de Blasio accountable, who will push back against Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the socialist movement, and provide some type of checks and balances here in the city of New York and the state of New York. For those of you who are in other places outside of New York, this is one of the top races in the nation. It is one of the top 10 races, most competitive seats. And so it is really important that we all work together to win this seat, because I've been an ally of the Chinese American community. And again, those issues that you care about, as you said, public safety, our education system, stopping socialism, ensuring we have a good healthcare system. Those are the things that I stand for and want to work with you to accomplish. You know, as my mother is a Cuban refugee, and as I said earlier, you know, many people came to this country for opportunity. We need to preserve this country because there's no place else for us to go. And we need to make sure that we keep this as a free country where we have limitless opportunity and potential to achieve the American dream, to start a small business, to gain a good education. And that is something that I'm going to be fighting for. So nationally, I think it's critically important that we take back the House of Representatives, that we get rid of people like Nancy Pelosi, and that we have good people in Washington who truly care and want to make a difference.
Thank you, Nicole. Yes, you're right. Because I remember the Republican National Conference. I don't remember that gentleman's name, but he was from, he said the same thing as you said. He said, if we leave America, there's no place we can go. This is the last place, the best country in this world. Let me have a look, see if we have any questions here from the audience, so I can read it to you, and you may ask these, you may answer these questions. One question is, Nicole, how should the New York government do to improve African American students, Latino American students' opportunities of education successes?
I missed the first part of that question.
How should the New York government do? How should the New York government do to improve African American students, Latino American students' opportunities of education successes?
Yeah, and look, this is a big issue that has come up previously, because the Mayor de Blasio had it wrong. He wanted to deteriorate specialized high schools. He wanted to lower the standards of gifted and talented. He wanted to eliminate gifted and talented programs and actually reduce the standards of our specialized schools. And that was not the answer, because we have many students who perform at a higher aptitude, and they need to be challenged at that aptitude. And that's what the specialized schools did. So instead of trying to reduce the standards and reduce the levels at these schools, what we should be doing is try to lift everybody up. And so one of the things that we had talked about was, you know, ensuring, tutoring, ensuring that test prep, making sure that every student has an opportunity, you know, adding special assistance and giving assistance to students who need extra help, making sure that they get lifted up. So I think the mayor and I certainly look at things in a different way. He wanted to lower the standards, but I wanted to give extra help and to give opportunity for all these students to be able to pass examinations for specialized schools and to be able to perform at a higher aptitude. So I think it's just where we want to concentrate efforts. And as for the federal government, I think that we need to look at this education system from a top bottom after this election, ensure that we are looking at the curriculum, we are seeing what people are being taught, we are ensuring that certain metrics are being made, so we can make sure that our federal dollars are being utilized the best way possible in our education system.
Thank you. Great. Another question is, what would you do to help lower the criminal rates in the New York City, in particular in African American communities, Latino American communities, and I would also add the Chinese American communities. So how would you to help lower the criminal rates in these areas?
Okay, so the internet broke up a little bit. This question is about crime?
Yes.
Okay. So in general, I've been traveling around this district, and I could tell you, no matter what community I'm speaking to, public safety is the #1 issue. And you're seeing that all across the city as well. People are concerned regardless of what ethnicity they are about safety. At the end of the day, there's been accumulation of crime, of policies adopted here in the city and the state under Democrats only. No Republicans have voted for these lousy pieces of legislation. But there have been a number of policies adopted that have added to us being less safe. And so we need to look at what's causing this. And I can tell you, it's the bail reform law. It's the mayor's plan to close strikers, releasing thousands of prisoners back into our streets. It is this environment that they're defunding the police, and everyone feels that there's an environment to be able to commit these crimes and get away with it. That's what's caused this, and we need to start reversing track, or else we're going to have some even more problems. Shootings have skyrocketed, burglaries have skyrocketed, car thefts. There are just so many crimes that have increased dramatically since these policies have taken effect. So I fought back very hard and was able to get the governor and then the Democrats in the legislature, with my colleagues, to be able to add crimes on which a judge can use discretion to hold people, including homicide, manslaughter, felony drug charges, strangulation, assault of a child, and hate crimes which have really affected the Asian population, particularly the Chinese population here in New York. So now a judge can once again use their discretion to set bail, to hold someone if they are a danger to the public. That's a major, major part of this. I've also worked with the mayor, believe it or not. I've been pushing him for years on his sanctuary policy that protected individuals who are in the country illegally committing crimes. We got the mayor to finally comply to work with federal detainer requests for those individuals who are here illegally and commit sex crimes like forcible touching, patronizing a child for prostitution, sex abuse. That's another example of how I've worked and pushed back on the Democrats to make us more safe. Then the heroin injection centers. I don't know if you know this, but the mayor was looking to bring heroin injection centers to communities. These are community centers, not for senior citizens, not for children who need after school programs, but instead for those who are heroin addicts to have a place to go to shoot heroin under supervision. This would have been detrimental not only to our quality of life, but certainly would have had an impact on crime in surrounding neighborhoods. I wrote to the U.S. attorney and got them to intervene to stop this from happening, and the mayor backed off his plans. So that's just another example of how I've been, working hard to stop bad policies from taking effect.
Thank you. We have another question from the audience saying, how can we contain and combat rampant voting fraud in New York City? I recently talked to a walkway Democrat leaders and was told Democrat has a system in place allowing illegals to vote.
Hey, 谢姐.
Yeah.
We have 6:30 cut off. Just want to be sensitive about the
Yeah,
time.
so this is obviously a concern. We have to. This is obviously a concern. We need to make sure that people who are voting are only those individuals who are citizens and eligible to vote and live in those districts. You know, the rules vary by state. I understand that some people from California, you have mail-in voting. Here in New York, we do not have mail-in voting. We have absentee ballots, which means that an individual can request a ballot to be mailed absentee if they wish, but they don't have a situation where they automatically just mail ballots to people's homes as they do in some states. We do not have voter ID laws here in New York. That is a concern as well. The House of Representatives under Nancy Pelosi tried to make various changes to the election law this year that would really, really undermine the integrity of our election system. For example, they attempted to allow mail-in voting everywhere. They attempted to do same-day voter registration, which is where an individual can show up at the polling site, register to vote, and vote without giving any opportunity for the Board of Elections to be able to ensure and check the validity of that voter's application to make sure that they're actually eligible, that they're citizens, they're of age, they live in the district, and can vote. There were some other issues with them trying to use taxpayer money to fund their political campaigns to the tune of $5 million for each candidate. You know, they wanted to actually get rid of every single voter ID law, prohibit states from having voter ID laws. That's what Nancy Pelosi and my opponent, Max Rose, voted for earlier this year, along with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar and the rest of the Socialist Squad. And that would undermine the integrity of our election system. What I could say is here in New York, you know, we're doing the best we can to ensure that we have proper poll watchers, that there's police presence, that there's also attorneys present to ensure that we have a secure ballot system here in November. And we also have early voting, which is a good thing because it spreads out. Instead of having large crowds on election day, we will have now over a course of 10-day period, which should help as well.
Thank you, Nicole. I think people really have lots of questions for you, but because of time, we have another guest to present. So we will save all these questions. I just want to let the audience know, if you have any questions for Nicole, you can always contact her. You can find her on the website. And also I want to say something for Nicole. We need lots of volunteers for making phone calls. You can make phone calls at home, anywhere in the USA. If you want to help Nicole, you can help. So if you have a question, if you want to help, please contact Nicole. Thank you so much, Nicole, for all the information. Great presentation. Thank you so much.
Yes, I want to thank you all for this opportunity. Anyone who wants to keep in touch with me or wants to help, I saw that Bernie posted his phone number. Please call Bernie, or you can email us, nicole@nicole4ny.com, and we will respond. But we'd love to have your help, and anyone who's willing to make some phone calls into the Chinese community in the next 36 days, that's all that's left in the election. I appreciate the help. And just to make sure that we all understand what's at stake here, 36 days, we're going to change the course of this nation. Either we're going to preserve the American dream, or we're going to make the dangerous mistake and go down towards socialism. Critical that we take back this seat to ensure that we have someone who is fighting to preserve our democracy, make sure somebody who's fighting against socialism, and that will be me, particularly for the people in New York. But really, I'm going to be in Washington, and that's the federal policy that oversees everything. And really, you know, at the end of the day, me being a representative in Washington on the federal level affects everybody, regardless of where you live in the country. So we need you to get involved. There are only 36 days left. It's a very close election. So every single vote counts, and you can make a difference in making sure that we're victorious.
Thank you,
I
Nicole.
appreciate it. Thank you so much, everyone, for the opportunity to speak with you
Yeah, thank you.
tonight.
Thank you.